I want you to imagine the kind of silence that feels alive. The kind of silence where every tiny sound makes your heart pause for a second. Because that's the kind of silence I was standing in the day I almost died in the African savannah. My name is Daniel Mercer. I was 24 at the time, a wildlife disease researcher working on a field project in southern Africa. I'd spent most of my life buried in books and university labs, but that year I had finally gotten the chance to work in the wild. The savannah looked endless, rolling golden grass stretching to the horizon, broken only by lonely acacia trees and distant termite mounds that looked like ancient monuments. It was the dry season. The wind carried dust and the smell of warm earth, and the sky above was a pale blue that seemed too big for the world below. That morning had started like any other. The sun wasn't even fully up yet when I stepped out of the small canvas research tent we'd set up near a shallow watering hole. The air was still cool, and the grass was silver with dew. In the distance I could hear zebra calls and the low rumble of wildebeest moving somewhere beyond the trees. My job that day was simple: collect samples from small rodent traps we had set the previous evening. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was important for tracking disease transmission among wildlife populations. I remember feeling calm. Maybe even a little proud of myself. I'd been living out there for almost 3 weeks, learning how to move quietly, how to read animal tracks, how to listen to the environment instead of fighting against it. But the savannah has a way of reminding you that you're not really part of it. I grabbed my field pack, a notebook, a GPS device, and a long walking stick the local guides insisted we always carry. The grass around camp was tall enough to brush against my waist, whispering as I walked through it. The sun slowly climbed higher, warming the air. Birds began to chatter in the acacia branches above me. For the first hour, everything went smoothly. I checked the traps, wrote notes, collected samples, and moved steadily across the grassland toward a line of scattered trees where the last traps were set. The wind shifted occasionally, bringing smells with it: dry grass, animal dung, distant water. Then something changed. At first it was so subtle I almost ignored it. The birds stopped. Not gradually. Just silence. If you've ever spent time in the wilderness, you know how unnatural that kind of silence feels. The background noise disappears and suddenly the world feels like it's holding its breath. I remember standing still, listening. My heartbeat suddenly felt loud in my chest. A small part of my brain told me it was probably nothing. Maybe a hawk passing overhead or a predator moving somewhere nearby. But something inside me whispered, "Pay attention." I started walking again, slower this time, carefully placing each step. The grass here was thicker, nearly chest high in some places. The wind pushed through it in slow waves. Every few seconds I could hear faint rustling that wasn't caused by the wind. That's when I felt it. That strange, uncomfortable sensation that something was watching me. I turned my head slowly, scanning the ground around me. And that's when I saw it. At first it looked like a dark branch lying across the dusty earth between two clumps of grass. Then it moved. Fast. The black mamba rose from the ground like a whip snapping upright. Its body lifted almost half a meter off the ground, hood slightly flared, mouth opening just enough to reveal the dark interior that gives the species its name. If you've never seen a black mamba in person, it's hard to explain the fear. They're not just venomous. They're fast. Incredibly fast. And this one was less than 10 feet away from me. For a second, neither of us moved. My mind raced through every warning I'd ever heard from the local rangers. Don't run suddenly. Don't make aggressive movements. Back away slowly. My breathing became shallow. I slowly shifted my weight backward, raising the walking stick slightly in front of me like a barrier. The snake swayed. Its head followed my movement with terrifying precision. Then the wind shifted again. And something changed in its posture. Before I could react, the mamba struck. It was so fast I barely saw the movement. One moment it was coiled, the next it launched forward like a living spear. Pain exploded in my calf. I stumbled backward, shouting in shock as the snake recoiled and disappeared instantly into the grass. For a moment I just stood there frozen, staring at my leg. 2 small puncture wounds. Already swelling. And that's when the panic hit me. Black mamba venom is neurotoxic. Without treatment, people can die in less than an hour. My camp was almost 2 kilometers away. No one else was nearby. I forced myself to breathe. Panic would kill me faster than the venom. First thing I did was drop my pack and pull out a compression bandage from the emergency kit we all carried. My hands were shaking so badly it took me 3 tries to wrap it around my calf. The goal wasn't to stop blood flow completely, just slow the venom from spreading through my lymphatic system. Then I grabbed the GPS. The fastest route back to camp wasn't the same path I'd taken earlier. There was a narrow animal trail cutting through the grass toward the watering hole. If I could reach it, I might save several minutes. Minutes suddenly felt like the most valuable thing in the world. I started moving. At first it was a fast walk. Running would pump the venom faster through my bloodstream, so I forced myself to stay controlled even though every instinct screamed at me to sprint. The savannah that had felt peaceful earlier now felt hostile. The grass brushed my legs like hidden hands. Every shadow made my heart jump. About 5 minutes into the walk, the first symptoms started. My vision blurred slightly. My jaw felt tight. I knew the signs. Neurotoxic venom begins attacking the nervous system, muscles weaken, breathing becomes difficult. I kept moving. Step after step. The sun climbed higher, burning against my neck. Sweat ran down my face. My breathing became shallow and uneven. At one point I nearly tripped over a termite mound and had to grab the grass to keep from falling. Don't fall. If I collapsed out there, no one would find me in time. The animal trail finally appeared ahead of me, a narrow dirt path pressed into the earth by antelope and zebra. Relief washed over me. I followed it, forcing my legs to keep moving even as they began to feel heavy and numb. Then, through the shimmering heat ahead, I saw something that nearly made me collapse with relief. The canvas roof of our research camp. I tried to shout but my voice came out weak and cracked. One of the field assistants was standing near the cooking table. He looked up as I staggered closer. I must have looked horrible. Because the moment he saw me limping and clutching my leg, his expression changed instantly. "Snake?" he shouted. I nodded. Everything after that happened quickly. They helped me lie down, kept me calm, and called the nearest medical station by satellite radio. Within 20 minutes a vehicle arrived from a ranger outpost carrying antivenom. Those 20 minutes felt like hours. My breathing became slower. My eyelids drooped. At one point I remember thinking, this might actually be it. But the antivenom came just in time. The next thing I clearly remember was waking up in a small rural hospital hours later, exhausted but alive. The doctor told me something I'll never forget. If I had taken just 10 minutes longer to reach camp, I probably wouldn't have made it. That day changed the way I see the wilderness. People often think survival is about strength or bravery. It's not. It's about staying calm when your body wants to panic. It's about remembering what you've learned when fear tries to erase it. The savannah taught me something important that day. Nature isn't cruel. But it is unforgiving. And if you want to walk through wild places and come back alive, you have to respect every single thing that lives there, even the ones you never see until it's almost too late.